Hello all, today we are going to discuss cell, the fundamental unit of life. So talking about the discovery of cell. So the first person to talk about cell was Robert Hooke. In the year 1665, when he was studying the non-living cork cells, he found out these cell structures resembled the honeycomb compartments, which somewhat look like this. He called each compartment as a cell. On the other hand, Anton von Leeuwenhoek was the second person who saw first living cells in pond water. This happened in the year 1674. So talking about cell as structural functional unit of life. Taking an analogy of a wall is made up of bricks. So here a brick can be called as a structural unit of a wall. Similarly, a cell is a structural unit of an organism. Cell, a group of cells forms a tissue, a group of tissues form an organ, group of organs form organ system, and organ system forms organism. So talking about cell theory, there were two scientists who worked on cell theory. First was Schleiden in the year 1838. He was a German biologist, basically a botanist who worked on plant cells. On the other hand was Schwann in the year 1839. He was a British zoologist who worked on animal cells. So both of them stated the theory as all plants and animals are made up of cells and cells are basic unit of life. On the other hand, in the year 1855, Rudolf Virchow, he expanded the cell theory and stated another statement along with this, that all cells arise from pre-existing cells, which means that one cell give rise to another, another give rise to another, and so on. So unicellular and multicellular organisms. An organism can be made up of a single cell, such as amoeba or paramecium. These organisms are known as unicellular organisms. On the other hand, when an organism is made up of a number of cells, these can be n number of cells, those organisms are known as multicellular organisms. The cells group together to form various body parts, and these various body parts perform specific functions. Talking about shape and size of cell, the shape and size of cell is related to the function of the cell it performs. It can be fixed as in neuron. Neuron is nothing but a nerve cell. This is a nerve cell. The shape remains fixed throughout the lifespan, whereas amoeba, which is a unicellular microorganism, the shape of amoeba keeps on changing. Also, nerve cell is long. It is long and branched because it performs the function of signal transmission. Also a muscle cell. This is a muscle cell. It is short and spindle shape for the body movement. Also, ostrich egg is the largest cell. Microplasm is the smallest cell. It is a unicellular microorganism. And nerve cell, it is the longest cell. So cell organelles. Cell organelles are the subcellular structures. Subcellular structures are those structures which are present inside the cell. These are the subcellular structures performing a particular function. So division of labor. As in the human body, there are different types of organs which are performing different types of functions. So there is division of labor in the human body. Similarly, in a cell, there are different type of cell organelles which are performing different types of functions of a cell. So there happens the division of labor of a cell due to these. So structural organization of cell. Let us now talk about what is the cell made up of and what is the organization of a cell. First of all is the plasma membrane. Next is cell wall, which is present only in the plants. Next is nucleus. While studying nucleus, we will get to know about the prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells, cytoplasm, and different cell organelles. Under the cell organelles, we shall discuss about endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, mitochondria, plastids, and vacuoles. So let us now see what is plasma membrane or cell membrane. Plasma membrane is nothing but the outermost covering of a cell. This covering separates the contents of the cell from the external environment. Plasma membrane is a selectively permeable membrane. This is because it allows the entry and exit of some materials only. Not everything can enter or exit the cell. So movement across the cell membrane can be done through these two processes. First is diffusion and second is osmosis. Diffusion is basically for carbon dioxide and oxygen, and osmosis is for the water molecules. Diffusion. Diffusion is nothing but a movement of substances from the region of higher concentration towards the region of lower concentration. In the case of carbon dioxide and oxygen, we can see that here, this is a cell. Here the concentration of carbon dioxide is higher inside the cell and lower outside the cell. So carbon dioxide molecules will tend to move out of the cell towards the region of lower concentration. In the case of oxygen, here the concentration of oxygen is higher outside the cell and lower inside the cell. Here the oxygen molecules will tend to move inside the cell. These processes will take place until and unless the concentration of these molecules is equal inside and outside the cell. As soon as the concentration becomes equal inside and outside the cell, the process will automatically stop. Osmosis. So osmosis is just a modified form of diffusion, where the movement of solvent from the region of higher concentration towards the region of lower concentration takes place across a semi-permeable membrane, and cell membrane is a semi-permeable membrane. There are three situations for osmosis. First is the case of hypotonic solution. This is the case when the concentration of water outside the cell is higher than the cell. Here the cell will gain water. The movement of water molecules from the region of higher concentration towards the lower concentration will take place in the presence of a semi-permeable membrane. Cell will gain water and swell up. Next is when the cell is in isotonic solution. Here the concentration of water inside and outside the cell is same. The cell will remain unchanged because there will neither be gain or loss of water molecules. Next is the case of hypertonic solution. Here the concentration of water is less outside but more inside the cell. Then there will be loss of water. The water molecules will move from higher concentration towards the lower concentration outside the cell. The cell will lose water and ultimately shrink. Classic example of osmosis is through raisins. We can do it at home only. Take 2-3 pieces of raisins and place it in the plain water. After some times we will see that these raisins remains unchanged. Whereas in second case, we can take a salt solution or a sugar solution and place the raisins in it. After some times we will see the raisins will shrink because it loses water due to osmosis. So another process by which the food substances or any other substances can be taken into the cell is endocytosis. Endocytosis can be seen in amoeba. Amoeba, as I told earlier, is a unicellular microorganisms whose shape is changing continuously due to the presence of pseudopodia. Pseudopodia is false feet of amoeba. So this is a food particle and this is amoeba. As soon as amoeba moves towards the food particle, it invaginates the cell membrane. Here is the formation of cup and the food particle is engulfed by amoeba. Here the food particle is completely inside the amoeba and it forms a food vacuole.